This next video is by Some Ordinary Gamers. I have not seen this video yet. It says this franchise has one chance left, and I believe that this is him talking about the Black Ops 6 reveal yesterday. And he is not, I wouldn't call him a Call of Duty YouTuber. He's a gaming YouTuber. And I'm curious what the consensus is from the outside in of the Call of Duty community. And that's kind of why I wanted to look at it. I'm assuming he will disagree with a bunch of the things I'm saying, and I will disagree with a bunch of things he's saying, but we'll have to wait and see.
Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and I like me Call of Duty enough to the point that I've made several videos of it on my channel. You might remember one of my first earliest creepypasta videos is COD Black Hell Ops. Oh boy! Somebody found a Memorex CDR containing Black Hell Ops and decided to ruin their entire life. You remember the story of Bootman Bill? Year
I am
one,
very
Some
curious where
Ordinary
this is going.
Gamers? Yeah, some of you old guard might remember it, but I've made several videos talking about this franchise. I've played the DS versions, the Wii version. I even played Wii Online Call of Duty, which was an absolute
I did that
banger
too.
experience. And from time to time, I've often defended this franchise because I really did think back in the PlayStation 3 era, it had value to it. You bought a game for $60.
So he
at a
he
time,
used
and
to
it
be a
came with
Call of
full
Duty stan.
campaign, a multiplayer suite, and zombies, spec ops, whatever. The amount of hours I spent with my brother on split screen is something that I absolutely cherish to this day. Nowadays, Call of Duty is not really the greatest franchise.
The camera angles that this guy uses when he plays games are so weird. I don't know if anyone else is noticing this, but we're getting like the full side view of his face. You don't see that very often.
Ever, in my opinion at least. Firing up a modern Call of Duty game takes you at least 5 minutes to wade through the actual advertising. And I ain't talking about advertisements like my face cream right here. One Up, ladies and gentlemen. We had a company, we started it. Seriously, if you go to gotoneup.com, you can simplify your actual skincare. As a guy taking care of the skin,
way to work
I don't
in
wanna
an
deal with
advertisement.
regimens. You take one pump. That's literally why we made this company. So we can buy a product, have it sitting in our bathrooms, take one pump, put it all over our face, and take care of our skincare routine in minutes. If not minutes, seconds. That's what we aim for. And that's how long my integration is going to be. I own the company. I decide what I get to say, okay? But anyways,
that.
ladies and gentlemen, Call of Duty advertisements last longer than what I just did right here. Because a
He's
Call
right.
of Duty advertisement literally will take you through, the idea of buying multiple
Oh, there it is, Black
$20
Ops 6.
skin packages, okay? The Battle Pass. All right, ooh, new season's coming out. You want to get that character. Oh, you want that obnoxious gun skin? Stop.
So when I play Call of Duty, I don't go through all of these menus. I generally have like 3 game modes that I like to play, and I don't have to wade through all of this Call of Duty HQ BS. Seeing someone else go through this menu pains me.
Stop it, okay? Call of Duty for me back then, as over monetized as it used to get, it was pretty much just like 1 or 2 skins every now and then. You want to get a bacon skin for your SMG? Sure. But
Oh, man, I
nowadays,
remember
it's
that.
just goddamn embarrassing. And I'm not just talking about the home, like PC console experience. It gets worse when you download the mobile version of the game, okay? You want to play a COD game on your
That's the one
cellular
thing I haven't
device,
done.
you better sit through a tactical press X to continue, skip through all the advertisements just to start matchmaking in a queue. So again, Call of Duty games right now, specifically the most
Oh my
recent ones,
God.
have mostly been like rehashes.
It's still
like,
going.
Now they're selling Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 again with the maps remastered in 3. And it kind of like split the community up. But Call of Duty games don't really, in my opinion, have the hype they once did, okay? I remember when Black
That I
Ops...
disagree with. I know exactly where he's going with this. If he's gonna say the same thing that I was gonna say, is Black Ops 1, when they announced Black Ops 1, it was huge. The way that they showed off everything and like the way everything worked to me was insane. And I remember like literally I'm getting goosebumps now talking about it because of how like big those reveals were. But I think as a whole, like if we look at yesterday, just the announcement of the name Black Ops 6 was huge, way bigger than just the announcement of Black Ops was back in the day. So I don't necessarily agree with what he was saying.
A lot of hype for it, okay? Excited for the campaign, where it would lead off to, literally springboarding off one of the most successful Call of Duty releases, Black Ops 1, and the most innovative systems they had, Pick-10, the actual class system where you could literally make an entire, like, monster of a class if you wanted to. A lot of experimentation, and of course, let's not forget...
That's one thing a lot of people don't talk about. Pick-10 system is a better system for create a class, because you can create whatever you want. The new system, where everyone always has a grenade, is not nearly as good. I will say it, I'm not afraid to. You get more grenade spam, classes aren't as varied, million different reasons why that old Pick-10 system's better.
The amazing...
They should do a similar Pick-10 system where attachments aren't included. You get your 5 attachments on your weapon, the rest of the class, maybe it's not 10, maybe it's a different number. But there needs to be a new system like that.
Zombies mode, okay? That keeps people addicted for days on end. And of course, the campaign to Call of Duty games are things that I absolutely hold near and dear. I always buy these games on sale just so I can play the actual popcorn shooter campaign
right?
that exists.
I always make videos on the campaign, the story.
Really thought-provoking or super wild. It's just because there's 5-6 hours of nonstop turn your brain off, Michael Bay action set piece extravaganzas. Now, Black Ops as a franchise is one that I really do take to heart. I played through this entire franchise, and it's probably the point where I really jumped into Call of Duty back when I was a teenager, playing through the campaign.
I wonder if he's going to say anything about Black Ops 3 being a horrible campaign.
Playing through the multiplayer all the way to the point of religious prestiging is something I'll never forget. The campaigns are all centered around, again, that dark, cold...
Wait. For create a class, pick 5. So I'm assuming you have your primary, secondary, optional, and perks. Yeah, it's something like that. Something like a system where your primary's there and you get 5 attachments on it. Your secondary, I don't know whether those attachments take up part of the... I don't know. They need to do a similar Pick-10 system.
Cold War, clandestine era of Call of Duty, right? Where you're playing as the CIA and all these crazy organizations. These shadow wars that actually existed in real life, you actually get to play.
That's the best part about Black Ops.
Black Ops 6 ended up getting announced, and it's probably got one of the longest development cycles imaginable. You're talking about like 4 years apparently worth of development, and people in...
I haven't talked about this on the main channel yet, but apparently this game has already been in testing for 2 years.
Inside the company have said like they've been playing the game for like 2 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Apparently it's so awesome that we're not ready for it, okay? Now, that's some level of hype that I'll probably take with a super grain of salt, okay?
Yeah.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, Call of Duty games, again, they have to do a lot to impress. But this is a Treyarch game, and Treyarch historically has made some of the most interesting Call of Duty experiences. And the actual advertising they've been doing so far has been kind of blowing me away a little bit. Now, there have been so many fucking Call of Duty games that, if you think about it, a Grand Theft Auto game, the last time a GTA game released initially, GTA 5, was September 2013. According to Call of Duty, they've got Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, Heroes, Black Ops 3, COD Siege, Infinite Warfare Remastered,
oh my God.
World War II. Yeah, they've been pumping these things out like no tomorrow. God damn. Yeah, if you look at the actual like list of games, we've got like 51 total Call of Duty experiences, which probably makes Call of Duty the most like developed game imaginable. Like this probably is the only franchise of gaming where you're reaching like half a century worth of actual titles to play through. It's insane. Anyways, though, to bring you in back to Black Ops 6, which yes, there have been now 6 actual Black Ops games. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, Black Ops Cold War, which is 5, and then you got Black Ops 6, okay? There's 6 games in just this sub-franchise of Call of Duty, okay? Insane how fast they pump these fuckers out. So if you go to their site, thetruthlies.com, it gets kind of interesting where, again, the advertising
We've done
is
this
sort of
many
getting
times.
people a little bit hyped. So it starts off with multiple channels. You got a bunch of these people breaking into a federally closed area. That
Which
area
is Mount Rushmore.
being Mount Rushmore of the United States, okay? A pretty big monument in the country. And so, like, they're breaking in over here, and they're kind of playing on these analog horror vibes. They got these Splinter Cell suits enabled, and they deface an actual monument.
It actually reminds me of found footage content.
Lies. So I guess they're playing on the whole idea of like the media lies to you and whatnot. They're literally running away, and bam, Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The Parks and Rangers are there. They've got actual Mount Rushmore. The truth lies. Oh, shit. I won't lie, dude.
I think this guy likes Call of Duty a lot more than he leads on. He's getting hyped for this.
It's got me a little bit excited. I like it when games kind of delve into that Shadow War conspiracy stuff. And then, of course, they have like a few channels that aren't accessible.
Oh,
and then,
so
of course, they've got monuments worldwide defaced.
You recorded
again,
this
you've got,
yesterday,
like,
then.
areas in
Yesterday
Germany
morning.
that have been hit. You've got, places in the United States. That's the Statue of Liberty. The Washington Monument is straight up hit. Justice isn't blind. You are.
Also,
Truth is the United States. Then, of course, they've got
a lot of people didn't realize this. Listen to what he says here.
monuments worldwide defaced. So again, you've got like areas in Germany that have been hit. You've got, places in the United States.
That is not in the United States. It's not. First of all, French. Second of all, Eiffel Tower. Third of all, very, very small Statue of Liberty, if that's what you're talking about. I looked it up, and this was actually a present that the United States gave back to France. I believe it was after World War I. I could be wrong. But yeah, that's not the United States.
It's the Statue of Liberty. The Washington Monument is straight up hit. Justice isn't blind. You are. Truth is the first casualty of war. So again, they even got like this.
Oh no, okay, this was
crazy,
yesterday.
TV guide example. If you ever remember the old guide network channels where you hit like channel 5 usually, you start to see like an actual guide of what occurred. Nowadays, people don't even fucking watch television, okay? It doesn't even matter. But yeah, they're kind of tapping into.
By the way, I think some people tried to figure out if there was anything hidden in these numbers here, and I don't think anyone found anything.
Sort of like, I want to say the analog horror vibe in a way too. And of course, the next thing over here is them putting up posters of like this truth lies campaign that they've kind of got going for it. Now, to give you an idea, I love the advertising that Treyarch does. For instance,
so yes, so there originally was a present of the Statue of Liberty from the France to the United States. But if you go and Statue of Liberty in France, there you go. The Statue of Liberty on the Isle aux Cygnes, River Saint-Péry, given to the city in 1889. It faces southwest downriver. So I was wrong about World War I, by the way. It was 1889. And then there you go. You can see right there. That was the original Statue of Liberty. There's like 6 of them in France. Is there? I actually didn't know that. Anyway.
Back in the days of Black Ops 3, you may not remember it, but this is the actual post that had occurred. Update, sources confirm explosion took place at Singapore research laboratories belonging to Coalescence Corporation. Oh boy.
Wait, is this how they revealed stuff in the... I don't remember this.
Riot police have dispersed rioting mobs to the southwest of Chinatown using...
Oh, so this was to promote other games, and he's comparing the old school, how ridiculous it was, to how like down to earth and real this one is.
Sonic area control weapons. Oh boy. And then of course, a 30-mile quarantine zone has been established to contain the area until more info is known. Now, immediately when people looked at this, like some randoms, mom and dad, grandma and grandpa connecting on Twitter, for God forbid, looked at this and thought, oh shit, oh my God, has there been an actual attack? So apparently, according to the news media, the actual like Call of Duty advertising team at the time got spanked with apparently tweeting a fake terrorist attack, which like, again, it wasn't that Singaporeans were stupid.
Call of Duty knows what they're doing. They know that when they tweet that stuff out, they want those responses because then that gets media attention. It's the same thing they did with No Russian, and they're also doing it with Black Ops 6 here. They put it out in these newspapers and people see it and they're like, oh my God, someone actually attacked Mount Rushmore? All of a sudden, Call of Duty in the news.
This it's just people on the internet who got really ass mad because they were like, this isn't right to do. I'm just gonna say it like this: if you're fucking stupid enough to look at Call of Duty with a check mark, tweeting about fake terror attacks in Singapore, then you are actually incapable of rational thoughts. Dog, it's a video game. It's like me looking at Rockstar Games and believing a traffic accident occurred in the city of Los Santos. Ooh, scary. Get out of here, all right? This is the litmus test on checking if people are dumb or they are not. Call of Duty, there have been too many similar tragedies lately to joke in a way you did without making your fiction clear. Really? The crazy EMP attacks in Singapore, that's a commonality everywhere else? Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? So it's kind of crazy about this whole situation with Black Ops, and one of the reasons why I've kind of been excited is that for a while, people had kind of sat down and wondered where the next bit of Black Ops is going to be. Is it going to go into the future? But they're kind of putting it towards the Gulf War, okay? So around the 90s and maybe the early 2000s, which is actually an
Wonder if he's going to talk about the 9/11 thing.
era of gaming that I don't think is properly represented in any form of war
Very
gaming
true.
whatsoever. I don't really hear about a lot of games that take place during the Gulf War. Usually when we talk about modern warfare, it's usually the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan. It's around that period. Nothing in the 90s or the early
remember?
2000s.
Wait.
And it's around that.
Remember when I was showing you guys the stuff earlier about when I think Black Ops 6 is going to take place? Remember the Highway of Death 20 years ago? Happened in 1991?
Period. Nothing in the 90s or the early 2000s is really reflected from my understanding when it comes to a lot of these kind of games. So again, one of the actual things that they had was this van, The Truth Lies, just driving around New York, okay? Now on the surface, you might be like, oh, that's not crazy. It's just an advertisement in New York City. One of the people that were like looking deep into the advertising had found out that one specific date in particular showed up, and that was 2001. So given the fact that they're advertising in New York, what happened in 2001 in New York? Well, if we apply our thinking caps, and some of you may not even be old enough to even have been alive during this.
Yeah, anyone in chat, was anyone not alive in 2001?
Attacks rocked the entire world. You know, people always look at like alternate timeline media, like what would happen if like the Nazis had won.
I was
World
1
War
month
II.
old.
No, I actually think about what would happen if 9/11 did not occur. What would be different in the world? Would our security apparatus, would our perceptions of people be a lot different had this massive cataclysm
multiple of
event
you
not
weren't
occurred?
alive during
For anybody that doesn't know
9/11.
what 9/11 is, don't feel ashamed. It happened over 20 years ago at this point. It was actually an attack where the Twin Towers, the largest towers at the time in New York City, from my understanding, and I may be wrong on this, there were actually two planes that flew into those towers. There was one plane that attacked another location, and the other location was, I believe, the Pentagon. There was one failed attack. But the point is, there were actually 4 planes that ended up flying into, or at least intended.
So a lot of you who are watching this were like 1 year old, 1 month old. Someone was 5 when 9/11 happened. I would have been 7.
To fly into massive
I was in grade 2.
Points of the United States, right? The Twin Towers being sort of like a financial capital, the World Trade Centers of not only New York City, the United States, but kind of the world, right? And then you also had the Pentagon, which was a massive security.
And actually, he's making better points than the gaming revolution did. The Pentagon has been a big thing in Black Ops for a long time. Like, we went to the Pentagon in Black Ops 1.
Wing of the United States, so to speak. It's where a lot of the, I guess you could say, shadowy defense deals were done. It's a defense epicenter. And then, of course, the 4th actual failed attack, you know, that didn't actually happen, thankfully. These were all very, very cataclysmic points in our history, right? And it's one of the most important points because if anybody was alive during the time, it's interesting to always ask them where they were during September 11, 2001. And out of all of the people that I've asked, everyone can basically remember exactly what they were doing during the time. My dad...
I was in grade 2. My teacher told me, I'm Canadian, so I'm not American. My teacher told me at the very end of the day, when you go home tonight, some of your parents might be sad. So just make sure you're good to your parents tonight. That's what my teacher said. I didn't like my grade 2 teacher, but I feel like that was a really good thing to say. And then I came home. My grandpa I lived with at the time was home from work. Like a year before, he just got this big flat screen TV in the basement. When I got home from school, I went into the basement with him and was watching the news over and over again. And that's where I saw what happened. So yeah, I remember.
Tell me exactly where he was at work. My mom would tell me exactly how she heard it. And they would always remind me of the news that would occur during the time. It literally was an actual massive terror attack that had occurred live in front of everyone's eyes. And it was something where for the few hours after, before, the weeks after, the world literally shifted right there and then. So it's a pretty massive point in human history. And here's the thing. Call of Duty has always covered controversial like points, right? They've always had some controversy. If you look at Modern Warfare 2 with no Russian, the Zakhaev international terrorist attack in Moscow, and the game was an entirely fictional thing. So when you start to see September 11th, then again, a lot of this is speculation.
Huge
There's no
speculation.
hard sell that they would ever even touch September 11th in this new Call of Duty game. But it's one of those things where it's set around that same time period. And given the fact that Call of Duty has...
So again, I think it's going to be 91 when it takes place, but I wouldn't be surprised if they jump forward 10 years and then go in 2003 when America goes into Iraq.
touched upon some pretty interesting conspiracy theories. Like if you ever played through Black Ops 1, you would know like literally right at the end, they would actually show you
True.
the JFK assassination, where the
True.
end point was to show you one character that they zoomed in on, which
is
was
Mason.
the actual protagonist of Call of Duty, Black Ops at the time, Alex Mason, implying that your protagonist actually ended up shooting Kennedy. So it's not
Yeah, so maybe 9/11, if they bring it up in the game, it's not going to be a mission or something like that. It's just going to be something that's implied and something that happens, and then we go in. And maybe there's like a little flashback at the end.
like
Mason's
they're
involved
against
with
the idea
9/11.
of touching upon conspiracy theories. The point is, would 9/11 be a conspiracy theory they would touch upon? Would it play a role in the game? And the most extreme angle is, some people wonder, will there actually be a playable component of 9/11 in this new Call of Duty game? Which, if they did this, I would buy 10 copies of just to support that level of ballsiness.
Yeah,
in
I agree
AAA
with them
gaming,
on this.
Especially considering the fact that COD is by
They won't, but I actually
one of the
completely agree with
largest
this.
games, one of the most mainstream titles imaginable.
I wasn't going to make a video on this, but his video is making me want to do it because I feel like I could have a lot of really good points that support them actually doing this. I think we might have to make a video today or tomorrow about this. I think we need to.
Well, people that don't play video games will probably play some Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Given the fact Microsoft owns this brand now, I would be surprised if this is a thing that's going to be ever in Call of Duty. And the reality of it is, I don't personally believe 9/11 is going to ever be a playable thing. Maybe it might be mentioned
Yeah.
in the game story in
Yeah,
terms
so
of
this is what I was
context and
saying.
describing how the world shifts, how the military-industrial complex shifts, how wars
And I
shift.
said this yesterday. I'll say it again. If they did this, the way to do it would be to put you as someone who is in the towers. Because then you're not playing as the terrorists. You were playing as someone who experienced this happening and trying to get out of the towers and how catastrophic it was. That would be the way to do it. And then at the end of the game, you have some post-credit scene that Mason shows up at the ground zero for 9/11. And then the theories go wild. And then I make 6 videos about it. But
shift, how battlefields shift. That might be an interesting point, but I don't really think that this game has the balls to jump in to the conspiracy theories
Yeah.
that
great example, like that one scene from OG Modern Warfare 3 with the mom and daughter, where you're not the bad. The only one where you're the bad guy that comes to mind right now is No Russian. Is there another one where you play as the terrorist? I could be wrong. There might be one that I'm missing.
to this day still surround the subject of 9/11, one of the touchiest,
But of course, the difference with that mission is that mission was fictitious.
most intricate, points in human history, right? At least in recent human history. And also, given the fact that it is 20 years old, there are still people that are reeling from the aftermaths of it, right? There are people that have genuinely lost their lives
PTSD
on every
too.
part of the world because of this specific point in human history. So I don't know if Call of Duty is going to be ballsy enough to touch it, but if they do, my God, is Treyarch really fucking cooking? Again, single player for me is one of the most important parts of these Call of Duty experiences.
Agreed.
So I'd be interested
This
to
is
see
like the only other guy on the internet that says the same thing as me.
what they do here. But ladies and gentlemen, wild stuff indeed. Am I kind of looking forward to a Call of Duty game? Yeah. But is it one chance left? Pretty much. I think if this game is going to be like a
People say that every single year.
DLC, storefront heavy live service game, where in my opinion it should just be its own actual proper release like the old days, it might not actually grab me. I don't know. But let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I wanted to talk about it because it is kind of exciting talking about conspiracies, Call of Duty, especially the Treyarch stuff. But yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comments.
You're saying that you were from Oklahoma, and the Oklahoma City bombing happened in 1995. Could they do something like that? They could. Like imagine if they did all of that kind of like home soil attack kind of stuff in a game. Whew.
Comment section below. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like it, dislike it. I am out.